Survivor 49 is back with its second episode, and so I have returned to analyze the Edgic of episode 2 in order to predict who I think is going to win the entire season based on the edit of just the first 2 episodes. I got a lot right in the first episode. I completely 100% accurately predicted who I thought was going to get voted out in episode 2. So, can I do it again? Will I continue to have a streak of correct predictions in this season? Well, you have to watch the video to find out. Also, please go watch Survivor Northwestern Into the Gauntlet episode 8. Just came out this week. I am on the show. It is a version of Survivor that is coming out on YouTube. We put a lot of work into producing the season. I was definitely involved behind the scenes a lot as well in post-production. So please go watch it. It would mean a lot to us. And if you are still interested in doing Edgic for this season, please come back. We love seeing people talk about the season as it comes out. So appreciate it a lot. Thanks for the wait, and excited to have another episode of the show out for you guys. If you still don't know how Edgic works, basically Edgic is a long utilized system used to analyze the edit of a given episode of Survivor or another show in order to give each and every character in the episode a specific rating that we then put into an Edgic chart that looks like this. That is then used to attempt to predict how that character's journey will go moving forward based on the type of edit they are given in an episode. There are 3 different parts to an Edgic rating. The first is the type of edit. There are 4.5 different types of edits a character can get. It can be UTR, which stands for under the radar. You didn't see very much of them. It can be MOR, which stands for middle of the road, which means you saw some of them, but they weren't super fleshed out. It can be CP, which stands for complex personality, which means you saw a good amount of them and they were very fleshed out as a character. Or it can be OTT, which stands for over the top, which means you saw way too much of them. There's also a bonus rating, which is INV, which stands for invisible, if you really didn't see them at all in the episode whatsoever. Then the next part is the tone of the edit. There can be P for positive leaning tone. There can be N for negative leaning tone. It can be M for mixed tone, which means you got a little bit of positive and a little bit of negative. Or it can be just no extra letter for no tone, neutral tone. It's just the letters from the type of edit, no tone whatsoever, added on extra. And the final part of an Edgic rating is the number, which is basically just a visibility scale from 1 to 5 based on how much you saw that person in the episode. 1, meaning you didn't see very much of them. 5, 4, they got a lot of screen time. And so here we are, episode 2 of the season. Interesting episode. Maybe not interesting in content, but interesting in how divisive I think the edit has been so far. Not divisive in that it's up in the air, divisive in that it's very clear. There are very big gaps between potential contenders and not potential contenders, I think, based on the edit so far. I predicted last week that Annie would be the next boot, and I got it right, baby. That's right. First prediction of the season, and I'm already right on the money. I had a big streak going last season. Let's see if we can keep it up this season. I'm super stoked about the prediction. So yeah, really glad I got that right. I gave her a middle of the road negative in the first episode. Middle of the road negative 2, which it just felt like she was going soon based on that edit. It's just like there's no way that she really makes it much farther based on that. And yeah, so I mean that's a big success, but also like predictable. I did not think for one moment that Annie was not getting voted out that episode. I thought it was like maybe Red Tribe could lose and they could boot Jawan. Maybe. I really did not think Yellow Tribe was losing. We didn't really see them at all this episode, which we'll get into. But I definitely thought like maybe Red Tribe boots Jawan. If Blue Tribe loses, which I have been predicting all week that Blue Tribe would lose again, and they did, and I was like, it's going to be Annie. There's no way it's not Annie. When they started trying to make it Sophie, I was like, it's definitely not Sophie. I'm going to tell you that. Like, there's no way this edit is leading towards a Sophie boot this episode. If anything, I was like, maybe we could flip on Alex. I didn't really think it would be Jake either when they would talk about Jake, but like it was so clear to me that that Annie was getting the boot. So felt pretty good about that. As for the divisions of the edits for everybody else on the episode, it was very interesting. We'll get into it when we talk about like the individual people and whatnot, but man, Yellow Tribe is getting so purpled. This is giving Australian Survivor levels of the editors do not care about this tribe. It's honestly kind of insane to me. I feel like American Survivor hasn't really done this in a while. I mean, even like some of the least shown tribes, I mean, I haven't really seen a tribe be this purpled like this across the board. So that's looking very interesting moving forward for this season. But otherwise, red and blue, I think, are both going pretty strong in terms of content. You know, they're definitely in there. So let's hop in to the Edgic ratings and discuss that further. We'll start with Annie being our boot for the episode. Yeah, I mean, crazy episode for Annie. I would say I feel like I gotta go with an over-the-top negative on this episode for Annie. This was just, such a negative episode. Like, a lot of dunking on her. It's got to be over the top, I think. There was just so much of kind of layupping on Annie. She's got to go. She's delusional. She's bossing us around. She doesn't know what's going on in the tribe at all. She's wrong. She's useless to the challenges. Just like pretty much everything. Like, it was just like bad episode for Annie. And listen, this is all love to Annie as a person. I mean, I don't think that she seemed like, she didn't come off as like a bad person in this episode, but she definitely got like kind of almost like a Rome style edit to me in episode 2. I was like, wow, they're really like dunking on Annie so right out the gate. I am curious. I want to take a look at the the confessional charts, which we have here, provided by Just Strategic on Twitter. Annie got 4 confessionals, which isn't too bad. I would say, I don't think I would give her a 5. I was considering giving her an over-the-top -3 because I don't feel like she got like a ton. She didn't get like a ton of confessionals, but she was definitely a big presence in the episode. There was so much against her. I think maybe a 4 is apt. Either a 3 or 4. If it's a 4, it's a low 4, I'd say, on visibility. But I think OTT negative, I feel pretty strongly about. Very clear that she was going out to me. Just, I mean, yeah, the way that edit really kind of dunked on her the first 2 episodes totally made sense. Then we will hop up to the top of the charts and then go down in alphabetical order to give each person their Edgic rating. Alex, another big episode for Alex, but another episode, I don't want to say it was entirely circumstantial, but it was, again, like Alex found the idol and his tribe was going to council again. So again, like Alex gets a lot of content here, but a lot of it is kind of just based on things that need to be shown, I guess. I'm curious. We'll take a look at the Edgic charts here. Alex, I mean, getting 10 confessionals, by far the most of the episode, is not really a super close second place here. So I'm thinking I wouldn't go over the top on Alex. I think it was pretty, I mean, I don't think that like he had like an excessive storyline here. I'm thinking complex. I don't know if there was really that much tone to Alex this episode. I'm thinking just a complex personality. 4, maybe a 5. I mean, he was shown a lot more than most of the people, but it didn't feel like it was that much to me, even though statistically it was. So I feel like a 4 is kind of where my gut is at on that. And I don't think that there was probably tone that I really recall. Like there was some stuff about like kind of needing to flip on him and whatnot, but generally it felt like a pretty straightforward episode for Alex. Jake. I don't know about Jake this episode. He definitely got a lot. I'm trying to think if I would go OTT on it this episode. I don't think it was nearly as egregious as the first episode. We'll pull up the confessional charts again. He got 7 confessionals here, which is quite a bit. I'm thinking maybe a complex personality mixed, because there was some stuff about like kind of wanting to get rid of him, but then also there's stuff about saying how useful he was. My gut is telling me complex personality mixed here. And I think I'll give it a 4 as well. I think we still got a lot of Jake here. A lot of Blue Tribe in general. Yeah, that's where my gut is going on that. We'll move on to Jason, which Jason is going to make me kind of break my rules a little bit, okay? I typically do not like the invisible rating. I don't really use it. I usually think like just use an under the radar one. You know, invisible is not necessary. However, if we take a look at the charts of the confessionals, Jason with a goose egg in episode 2, 0 confessionals, and quite frankly, not really anything else. I don't think I saw Jason in any strategy talks this episode. The only thing I can think of is that he solved the puzzle in the challenge, which was, I mean, good for him. I mean, he definitely was very good at that, but otherwise, I felt like he was barely there. Like, I barely saw Alex this episode. Well, not Alex, Jason. I think I have to give him an invisible rating. And an invisible rating means they don't get tone or visibility rating. It's just flat out invisible. I believe is usually how it's used. And I think that's the case here. I honestly just don't think Jason was in this episode whatsoever. Like, I don't remember seeing him in any Yellow Tribe scenes. I only saw him during the challenge. He wasn't there. I'm sorry, but that's where I gotta go right now. Jawan, I gave him an OTT mixed in the first episode, and I kind of want to give him that again, honestly, because it was a very negative episode, but I do think there was still some positivity towards Jawan based on his, choosing to help the tribe, and he was like happy about like helping the tribe and whatnot. But I think there was still like a lot of negativity. You could maybe go an OTTN on it, but I feel like there's still a little bit of positivity there. I kind of want to give him an over the top mixed again, which is crazy. That's a crazy rating to get 2 episodes in a row, but I just think that like there was so much like about like Jawan's gotta go. He's like off with looking for the idol and then putting the dirty sticks in Savannah's bag. It was just like, yeah, I think you could argue flat out negative, but I think I'm gonna go OTTM, and I might even go 4 on it. I felt like there was a lot of Jawan in this episode. He went on the journey, which was pretty big for him, so we definitely saw more of him there. I mean, if we look at the confessional charts, he gets 5. That's quite a bit for this episode. Yeah. Over the top mixed 4. That's what happened on Jawan. Jeremiah is interesting. I felt earlier in the episode pretty good about Jeremiah in terms of how his edit was going, and then he kind of disappeared later on in the episode. I felt like he really faded into the background. So I don't really think there was tone here, but I still felt like we got a sense of where he was at. Like I feel like I'm feeling like a complex personality 3 for Jeremiah here. I feel like still solid. Like he's still there. He's still getting content. I still understand where he's at in the tribe. I don't really recall any like toneful moments really. Yeah, I think that's just the way it is. Kristina. Oh boy. I think Jason's getting revitalized. I think I'm giving Kristina an invisible as well. Because if we look at the charts, it's a goose egg. Again, a second goose egg for the Yellow Tribe. 0 confessionals for Kristina. She just was like not there at all. We saw her say like, at least I remember one sentence from her, which is more than Jason. I remember her saying something about like, oh yeah, I like MC. Yeah, MC would be good to bring into the main alliance. But other than that, it was like nothing, you know? So I just think it's invisible. I just think she was so there. I mean, I didn't even really see her in the challenge. At least with Jason, I saw him doing the puzzle. Kristina, like, I got one sentence, but that's barely enough. I felt like she was barely there. To get so little content on a tribe that already barely any content, that's not good, man. That is not good. I gotta go an invisible on it. Now, Matt. Good episode for Matt. We saw more of him. I think more than we saw of him in the first episode. He got the most on the Yellow Tribe by far, but Yellow Tribe's still not getting that much. I'm thinking a complex personality mixed for Matt. Maybe a 4. If we look at the charts, he gets 5 confessionals and only 3 in the premiere. This definitely felt like a bigger episode for Matt. He went on the journey and then pretty much got most of the content for the Yellow Tribe outside of the journey as well. I think I'm going to go 4 on it. Like, why not? I felt like he was a big part of this episode. Now, there was some negativity thrown Matt's way by MC that, he seemed kind of shady. She didn't really trust him. She said she trusted Steven more than Matt, which I thought was kind of strange. I don't really know why that is. But, so I would say there was still some negativity there, but I wouldn't say it was like totally negative. I still feel like there was positivity there. He's still like being a big asset to the tribe. I feel like it would be weird to give him a totally negative rating this episode. So that's why I give him the mixed on it. MC. Okay, more of MC here. We get a little bit more from her. We learn a little bit about where she's at in the tribe. They want to bring her in to the tribe of 4 main alliance, but she kind of doesn't want to be a part of that. They want to vote out Sophie, but she likes Sophie. She doesn't want to get rid of Sophie yet. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not much, but it's better than the first episode. You could maybe even give it a positive rating because she, they talked about like how she's like good in challenges. She's a solid worker. Matt definitely gave her some positivity. I'm thinking a middle of the road +2. Because there still wasn't a lot of content there. Again, Yellow Tribe got crumbs this episode once again. But at least it was something. It was something. I understood a little bit more where she's at. So I'll give her the middle road +2. Nate. Good episode for Nate. I would say this was another very solid episode for Nate, which is interesting because if we look at the confessional charts, this says Nate only got 1 confessional, which I think is crazy. Because if that's true, it was a very long confessional. I feel like I got a lot of Nate. He had such a huge sequence when he was like talking about how he doesn't understand the young kids' lingo and whatnot. I feel like we got a lot of establishment for the character of Nate. Once again, we saw him strategizing, kind of setting up a 4. He connected with Rizo. and yeah, it was like kind of setting up a group in the tribe to go forward. I feel like he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think maybe not OTT, but I think a complex personality +3. I think I'm going on. I mean, even though it was one confessional, I still felt like he was very much a big part of the episode. And I felt like, yeah, I just felt like there was some positive tone to it. Like, I just felt like he was kind of a rootable guy here. You know, it could maybe be neutral. I mean, I don't really know where the positive comes from. It just felt positive for him. Like, I don't really have evidence of it. It just felt like, oh yeah, look at this cool guy that he's like, doesn't understand the lingo and whatnot. He's trying to fit in. It felt like it was painting him strategically positively in how he was trying to fit in with people. I mean, Rizo did give him some positivity, talk about how he appreciated him hugging him. It felt like his dad hugging him or something like that. I didn't really understand what the hell Rizo was talking about there, but it was something, at least. It was something. So I think a complex personality +3 for Nate. Rizo, not as much from Rizo this episode. I'm thinking, I don't think there was really tone here for Rizo, really, other than that scene him talk about Nate hugging like his dad hugs. I just realized we have all of the red tribe in a row here, other than Jawan. It's crazy. I feel like a middle of the road, flat. We'll check the confessional charts. Rizo, 1 confessional. I think a middle of the road 2, honestly. Like, I feel like he was not in this episode a whole lot. I remember that one little segment from him. But otherwise, like, he was kind of like the 4th member of the Uli 4 this episode. I don't think he's in, like, danger. I mean, I don't think there was any negativity there, but I just don't think there was much substance to Rizo this episode, which was interesting, unexpected. Sage, I'm considering giving Sage also the same rating I gave her in the premiere. Let's look at the Edgic chart. She gets a 1 again. I mean, I felt like she was still kind of present. There was like the P sequence, which was funny. But she still was not in the episode that much. I don't know if I've ever done this before, but I might go a middle-of-the-road mixed 1. Because I felt like she wasn't there that much, but I don't think it was like totally under the radar. She was still a presence and doing some funny stuff. But I feel like it was less than Rizo and MC, who I gave 2s to. And like, again, I didn't feel like it was like totally negative, but it's just like funky tones going on there with her. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Maybe that's an insane rating, but that's where I'm at. Savannah, another very big episode for Savannah. On Edgic Ratings, I think she gets 5 confessionals, which felt like a lot more. I mean, Savannah's content is just so substantive, even if she's not actually getting as much screen time as it feels like. I again feel like giving her the same rating as the first episode. I felt like she was in the episode a lot. I think a complex personality for sure. I don't think there was really tone to it, because I don't really remember people talking about her all that much. There was maybe a little bit of tone in terms of like her speaking about other people so passionately. But like, I don't think it was really going one way or the other. So at worst, it's a mixed tone, but really, I just think it's a straightforward complex personality 4 again, really. Shannon, I would say another pretty good episode for Shannon. On a confessional chart, she gets only 2 confessionals, which isn't a ton. I would say like there was definitely some positive tone again in terms of they talked about her again kind of being a powerful player, being in a good spot in the tribe and in her alliance. Something I definitely took note of was in the previously on segment where it very specifically showed a segment of Savannah saying that her and Shannon are running the tribe, like as a duo, kind of. And that felt significant to me. I think that either Shannon's going to get flipped on in the near future, or that is an alliance that might go very far in this game. But she didn't get a ton of content here, even though she still felt like a presence. I think I maybe want to... I think I want to bump her down to a middle of the road, because I don't think that she felt like a super fleshed out character here, even though she definitely had her segments with like the whole crab thing. Oh, I forgot about the crab thing for Savannah. You could even argue this was a maybe this was a positive episode for Savannah, because she did bring in the crab, which was pretty huge for the tribe. Now I'm gonna keep it that way. I think I'm gonna give Shannon a middle of the road mixed 3. I think I don't want to give her the same rating as the first episode again, and yeah, that's where I'm at. But I think still keep an eye on Shannon for sure. Sophie had an interesting edit this episode. I'm not entirely sure what to think about Sophie's edit this episode, because it was... I think this is a complex personality mixed, I think, on Sophie, because I still think we got a good amount from her. Not an excessive amount. There was some negativity saying that she was kind of like bad in the challenge. Even she was saying that, but I still felt like there was like positive. Like it was still like kind of like it came back around. It felt like you were still kind of like rooting for her, and like she kind of felt like an underdog, even though, you know, she flopped the challenge. I also really liked the moment where she wanted to hide the idol box from Alex. I felt like that was a very interesting segment that didn't need to be included, because it didn't go anywhere, but it still was included, which was significant to me. So I think a complex personality mixed 3, because I think it was less than the first episode. Her confessional chart is 5, which is, I mean, it's pretty good, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like she wasn't as ever present in the episode. You could maybe give her 4. But I just felt like she didn't have as much to me. I don't know. You could give it a 4 or a 3. It's neither here nor there. I think that's a tough one. But no, I'll give her a 4. I mean, she did go to tribal, which we did see quite a bit. So I'll give her the 4. That's fine. For Sophie with an E, still not much from her, more than the first episode. Tone, I mean, like, again, like, kind of like they want to vote her out, but also she was like, ain't no way I'm letting that happen, which I felt like was nice. I might go an under the radar mixed 2. I haven't even given an under the radar yet, because I gave those 2 people invisibles. Yeah, because she still wasn't there a ton, but it was something. She got 1 confessional, I believe. Yeah, a 1. So, I mean, it's still like an under the radar, I think, but there was like some kind of a tone going both ways. There's just like, they want to vote her out, but maybe you're supposed to root for her to not get voted out, because there was kind of some negativity being thrown on that alliance of 3 from MC. And you did see a little bit of Sophie in the challenge, the mat chat as well, which felt like something, but it still wasn't much. I'd probably give it an under the radar mixed 2. Steven, not much from Steven. 1 confessional from Steven. I felt like he was barely here, shockingly. You could maybe give it a positive tone. Maybe, based on MC saying she trusts him more than Matt, but it didn't really feel like that. It felt such like an insignificant moment. I'm feeling an under the radar one, I think. He was barely in this episode. He had one confessional. I barely remember strategy talks from him. It was like, yeah, I feel like, I mean, you could maybe give it a 2, but I remember more from Sophie than I remember from Steven this episode. That's just how it is. So that is our Edgic ratings for the episode. Interesting ratings, definitely a lot lower ratings than we have been giving. Again, kind of showcasing that like big gaps between people in the edit of this season so far. It's kind of giving Australian Survivor edit, if you're familiar with that. And so we will then use this information to head on over to the Contender Rankings in order to predict who is going to win this season. Now, I have had people confused about this. This is not about who I think is getting the boot next episode. It's purely about how I think they could win the season. I don't know how far they go. That's not what this ranking is about. It's only about who is most likely to win based on the edit so far. It just so happened that Annie was last place last week, and Annie was my prediction for who would get the boot this week, and I was right. So, I mean, ding, ding, ding. I nailed it on the head. I got everything right about it. I was like, Annie is going. She's no way she's winning the season, and I was right. So, good stuff there. I think my last places are going to change a little bit. I'm bumping Jason down to last. Jason's not winning. Like, this edit's so bad. Pretty much all he's had is the Matt chat, and then I guess the segment about playing Smash Brothers. But even then, we heard more about that conversation from Steven and Matt's point of view than we did from Jason's point of view, who was the Smash player. And then he gets a goose egg completely skunked out of this episode. Give him an invisible rating. There's just nothing here for Jason other than the Matt chat. That's it. This is not a great edit for Jason. I just don't think he's winning. Do I think he's voted out next? Not necessarily. Jason could go far, but he's not winning. Now, this is going to be kind of a shocking twist of events. I think I'm going to bump Kristina down to second last. I mean, again, just like big goose egg. I typically said in the past, you get the goose egg, you're done. You're out of it. You can't get a goose egg, not in the new era, not in 90-minute episodes. I just think it's really bad. There's just no story there set up for Kristina other than that she's scared of birds. I felt like her premiere was okay, but it wasn't great. And this episode was so bad for her. I don't think she's winning. I think next I have to go MC. Better content in this episode, like a little bit of her in the strategy of the Yellow Tribe, but my goodness, guys, Yellow Tribe is so bad. Like, they get such little content. This is like one of the most purple tribes in history. I just like, there's no way that MC is winning the season. Her premiere was so bad. I mean, I put her second last. I only put Annie below because I was so confident 100% that Annie was getting voted out the next episode. And so MC, she rises a little bit because she's got a better average 2 episodes than MC and Kristina do, but still not good. Her premiere was still bad. I would put Sophie fourth last, which, I mean, people might think it's crazy that Sophie's this high because she's been such a non-character, but there's more there to me than there is for the 3 people below. Maybe I'm just holding out hope because Sophie's my winner pick and I want her to do well and I don't want to put it too low. But I do think there's like a little bit of something. There's a little bit of story. Her premiere, I think, was better than MC. It was maybe worse premiere than Jason, but not by much. And this episode, she got less content than MC, but again, MC's had a worse premiere. And I feel like Sophie's got a little bit of kind of a I'm on the bottom, like kind of underdog story cooking maybe, and I kind of could see her coming out of it. And I do think there's a possibility, it's a long shot, but there's a possibility she could win the season. And the reason why she's getting so little content right now is because she's in such a bad position on her tribe, right? They want to vote her out. She's kind of on the bottom. And so they're kind of shielding her a little bit. But they're kind of at least painting a little bit of like, I'm going to show all these fools. They have activated Sophie with an E, and I'm going to take over the game. The story's set up, but they're shielding her from the bad gameplay she's had right now, I guess. It's there. It's possible. I don't think it's super likely, but it's possible. Then I guess I go Sage. Sage gets little content. She's kind of just a goofy character. The next time on Survivor looked pretty negative for Sage, which is not so good for her. Yeah, there's just not much there. I don't think Sage is winning. I think I'm going to put Jawan next. Again, very kind of negative stuff. I've been given it mixed tones, but it's definitely been a negative leaning edit for Jawan so far. I just think things are not looking good for him. Yeah, I mean, he maybe could survive, and you're like, wow, I can't believe he came out of that when they wanted him out so bad. And maybe there's like a rivalry between Savannah and Jawan that like goes a long ways into the season. I mean, it's possible, but I just think things are like, if he doesn't go pre-merge, then he probably goes emergatory. You know, like, I just don't know how he survives too long based on his current spot in the tribe and the game and the edit. It's just not looking good for Jawan. Steven, I mean, despite having a really bad episode, it kind of gets bumped up to the number 10 spot almost by default, just because I felt like everyone else has such worse edits, where Steven had a fine edit in the premiere. He was established as a big character. He still feels like one of the more important people on Yellow, even though he got like, breadcrumbs this episode. Still feels like he has some significance, I guess. I don't think he's winning, but it's something. I will say, Yellow Tribe, I'll save it for the predictions. But yeah, I don't think Steven is winning, but he's got a slightly more inoffensive edit at this point than all the people below him. So I'll give him that. And I think Matt has to stay at 9. I don't think I can bump Matt up, mostly because Yellow Tribe is just so nothing. Like, we just get so nothingness from the Yellow Tribe. I don't think there's any way that anyone from that tribe wins. You can just rule them all out, basically. But Matt is getting significantly more content than everyone else on that tribe. I feel really good about putting him as the highest member of Yellow Tribe from the first episode. That was maybe a hot take that I did that, and I feel vindicated this episode. He got a lot of content this episode, way more than the rest of Yellow Tribe. Now, I do worry a little bit. I mean, there's still some negativity thrown his way. MC talked about not trusting him, so I mean, that's not great. But at least there's content. So I mean, he beats out the Yellow Tribe. Honestly, the divide between Steven and the people below him and Matt is pretty significant. But I still think I can't put Matt any higher because the complexity of his tribe is like so bad. Like, he can't go any higher than he is, mostly because of his tribe. But otherwise, I actually think his content's pretty good on an individual basis. There's some bad signs there, but it's solid enough to keep him in the middle of the pack. And then, I mean, these are all interesting. I think I'm gonna bump Rizo down to number 8. I mean, we did not get a lot of Rizo in this episode. I mean, there was some good stuff. I definitely don't think he's out of the running at all. But I just think that, like, this was kind of a nothing episode for Rizo. And the first episode was mostly all about kind of character moments. I feel like we still haven't seen a ton of strategy from Rizo. It's mostly just kind of been like personal, like positive stuff. Yeah, I don't love what's going on with Rizo right now in the edit. So I'm bumping him down to 8. And I'm bumping Shannon up to 7. I think we've gotten more talk about her as a good strategic player. She's been more kind of involved. We've gotten more consistent content from her. Rizo's kind of been all over the place edgically. Shannon's been a little bit more consistent. It's still not great. I still think that there is some bad stuff. And I do feel like I don't really think Shannon wins. To me, it's giving like they're kind of painting her as like a powerful player that will have comeuppance at some point, whether that be pre-merge, whether that be like early merge, like she's someone that's got to go, whether that be she gets, she loses at Final Tribal Council, which we'll get to in the predictions. But I just don't really think she wins, but she's definitely got better, more consistent content than anyone below at this point. So that's the way it is. Now, top 6. Now, I do top 5, but really it's a top 6. This 6, I think, are all good. I don't really have any complaints about the 6 that I have on my top of the list at all. I think they all could win based on their edits so far, and I don't really have any complaints. It's really tough, honestly, to rank this 6 because I feel like the divide between these people is really not that strong at all. So it's going to be tough to decide here. And I think I'm going to go for Big Move, which maybe doesn't make any sense, but it's what my heart is feeling, which is putting Jake at 6. I just don't think Jake is winning. My gut is just telling me I just don't think Jake wins the season. He's had like a very kind of over the top edit. He's like this big, like goofy character. Now he is at a really good spot strategically, and we have seen that. And he's in a good position. And I mean, listen, I don't know. Maybe this is crazy. Maybe he shouldn't be at 6, but I just feel like it's more of like an over the top kind of character thing. He's got a lot of personal content, a lot of good stuff, kind of positive edit here for Jake. But I just don't feel like he wins. Like I just don't. And I want to bump Nate up. And so someone's got to go down. I do think that Jake could very well go back into the top 5 eventually if he sticks around long enough. But I don't know. My heart's just telling me he doesn't win. And I wanted to bump Nate up to number 5 because I really like this episode for Nate. Even though he maybe didn't get the most amount of screen time, I feel like it was such a big segment for him. There was so much establishment. Again, it felt like he really has been showcasing himself as one of the better kind of strategists and people that can kind of recognize his position and what's going on in the tribe of anyone on the season. He just understands what's happening. He understands what he needs to do. He's been playing a good game so far. Call him by his name. And yeah, I really liked what's been going on with Nate. I think he deserves a top 5 spot. It could easily go down because, I mean, it's not like an excessive amount of content. But, I think it's there. I think I'm going to put Jeremiah at 4. Jeremiah, I'm back and forth on in this episode because earlier on in the episode, I was like, this is good for Jeremiah. Like, this is a good episode so far. I was like, I think Jeremiah might get bumped way up, like maybe even to number 1. But then later in the episode, as I said earlier, it felt like he kind of went away. Like he wasn't that involved in what was going on in voting out Annie or the idol hunt. And there's a lot more focus put on the other 3 tribe mates from the tribe. But I still like what's going on. I still think he's I think he could easily kind of feel more like a character in the way that even Jake does, but he doesn't. I feel like he still feels like a strategist. We still get good strategic content from him. I'm divided because I really like what's going on with Jeremiah's edit. However, I also really think that if that tribe loses again, he's a goner. There's no way Jeremiah doesn't get voted out next from that tribe. I don't know how it happens unless they go to rocks. So, yeah, I just think that I wanted to bump him up, but the content wasn't super there. And I do think there's a very real possibility of him going home soon. But that's where I got to put him for now. At number 3, I think I'm going to put Sophie. I think I'm bumping her down, honestly. This was a weird episode for Sophie. Definitely some negativity there. Definitely kind of like she's down in the dumps. But there was still like good stuff there. Again, I feel like that scene of her trying to hide the box from Alex. I liked that. I liked her trying to get one up on people. I like that she's still thinking strategically. She's still trying to figure stuff out. But I just feel like this was like not a very positive episode for Sophie. And so that's why I feel like I got to bump her down, because it just didn't feel, it just wasn't a great episode. But I think she could still go back up to the top 2 moving forward, because I still like her position. I still like where things are at. But I wouldn't say she almost got voted out, but she did get a vote at Tribal Council. People trying to prey on her downfall. So, bumps down. But I'm still feeling good about Sophie. I'm going to put Alex at number 2, which Alex, I think similarly to how I had mixed feelings on Jeremiah, my gut is telling me that Alex goes out soon. Like, I just have like an instinct. I don't know. I just got like a feeling that I think Jeremiah goes out like pre-merge. Or not Jeremiah, Alex. I don't know. It's kind of like how I felt about like Asia in 47, who had good, went on the journey in the first episode, had good, consistent strategic content. What definitely was there, but like maybe a little bit circumstantial, their content. And it was just a weird feeling that I felt like Asia was going to go out pre-merge. And that's kind of how I feel about Alex. Even though it's all there, I don't know. I've got an instinct. But I still feel like I got to put him up to number 2 because his content is good. It's circumstantial, but it's there. We still get strategic stuff. We still get him like being the person that's like talking to Annie, telling Annie about his idol. We didn't need to see that. That wasn't really important. They were still going out of the way to show him a lot. He got way more confessionals than everyone else in the episode. I still think he's a big part of it so far. I don't really think Blue is going to lose again next episode, but I do think, I don't know, there's just a weird instinct for me that Alex is going out soon. But for now, he's at number 2. Also like Thomas. I think Thomas from last season is another good comparison. I didn't think Thomas was going out pre-merge. I didn't have that instinct, but I feel like he could end up similarly to a Thomas, that it's like, whoa, he's like, if there's a shock boot pre-merge, like it's a lot of content. Often there is. I think it was Thomas last season. I think you could maybe say it was Asia in season 47, 46, I guess Banu, someone that like gets a lot of content, but then you're like, whoa, I can't believe they went out pre-merge. That's how I feel about Alex. But I have no proof. Thomas was in my top 3 when he went out. So, Alex, congrats. You're still up there. And then I'm going to put Savannah number 1. I just think Savannah's got such great content, really. I mean, she is clearly running the Uli tribe. We get so much from her. Talk about her tribe, where everyone's at, where the alliances are, why she doesn't like Sage, why she doesn't like Jawan. She brings in the crab, which is like the celebrated with the tribe. There's so much focus on Savannah, and I mean, if you know, you know. But I I feel like I have to put her at number 1. As much as I want to put someone else there, it's not Alex. I'm not putting Alex number 1. I feel like Sophie needs to be punished based on this episode in the rankings. Jeremiah, I was going to put number 1, but then I didn't like where things went for him. Nate, I don't think has quite enough content. Jake, I moved down. And so, like, I just think that Savannah's got to be number 1 right now, just because I don't know who else it would be. So that's where we are at. We will copy the top 5 and place it over in the chart for future reference on who our top 5 contenders are. And then finally, we will wrap things up talking about my predictions moving forward and specifically for the next episode. I think we'll talk about Yellow Tribe first. I don't think Yellow Tribe loses next episode. I still feel like if they did, I feel like we'd have a little bit more build up for what's going on there. Even though they get so little content, I still feel like they're not going to go to Tribal soon. That's just my sort of feeling on it. However, if and when they do go to Tribal, they remind me of the Blue Tribe from Survivor 47, who I'm suddenly blanking on their name. Is it Tuku? I think. I thought it was Bello, but that's from 45. The Blue Tribe, Gabe's tribe from Survivor 47, where usually in the New Era tribe, you kind of get like a group of 4 and then 2 people that are on the outs that got to go. But that tribe, it kind of ended up as like a group of 3. There was 2 groups of 3. And it was kind of like, how are they going to come out? And it seemed like there was people on the outs. But then like Gabe flips. You know, well, he doesn't really flip. He was always preferred to be with Sue and Caroline, even though he was supposed to be in the 4 with the other 4. And then he managed to flip Tiana and take out TK, right? And so it's kind of like 2 groups of 3 that clash against each other. But then somehow the group of 3 that you kind of felt like the group of 3 that was on the bottom was actually the one that came out on top, right? And that's kind of how I think this tribe might go. That tribe also didn't get very much content, outside of when they went to Tribal, which I feel is a good comparison. I feel like we kind of have a group of 3, which is Steven and Matt and Kristina. And then we have MC and Sophie and Jason by default, even though we haven't seen any of him. And because it's weird to me that although we got a little bit of Jason with Steven in the first episode and Matt, he was not the 4th in that alliance. For some reason, it was going to be MC, but MC decides she doesn't want to be part of that. And so I kind of think that there's like a 2 3s going, and it kind of feels like Jason and Sophie and MC are supposed to be on the bottom of that tribe, but it kind of feels like to me that they might take it over. You know, like they're like, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. And they're going to somehow flip somebody to take someone else out. Maybe they somehow get Kristina out, or they flip Kristina to take out Steven. I don't really think it'll be Matt. Although maybe the reason why Matt gets so much content is because he's the first boot of that tribe. That's possible. I don't hate that. But I just... That's kind of what that tribe is reminding me of. I don't really think it's going to be an easy Sophie vote, but it could be. I mean, maybe if they'd have to pull in Jason. Maybe this episode is just setting up like the downfall of Sophie and MC and they go soon, but I'm pulling for my girls, okay? I love Sophie and MC. I still feel like they feel like strong winner contenders in my heart. I love the content we have seen of them, even though it's so little. I want them to win. I don't think they will, but I think they could maybe survive that tribe. But I don't really think the tribe's losing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's my prediction on how that tribe could go if they do go to Tribal anytime soon. Blue Tribe, I also don't think is going to lose next episode because I feel like we've gotten good content from the people on the Blue Tribe. They're all big contenders, all 4 of them left. Annie's gone, who was not a contender at all, and now we got a really solid 4 on that tribe. And I don't think any of them go out next episode. Could one more of them go out pre-merge? I think so. I don't think they lose multiple more. I don't think so. pre-merge. I think they can only afford losing one other person. I think if that is someone, I think it will be either an easy vote on Josiah, somehow a flip on Alex, Josiah, and Sophie team up and take out Alex, or maybe, now based on the next time on Survivor, it kind of was setting up that Jake could get medevaced based on a snake bite, which I mean, I saw that snake. I was like, that's a really bad snake. Like, isn't that like a super venomous snake? So that, I mean, I don't actually think he's going to get medevac, because I don't think that they would show that to us in this episode if he does get medevac. I feel like, you know, it kind of gives up the goat for what's happening. Why would I even watch next week if that's what happens? But I do see a world where maybe he gets this really positive, over-the-top style of edit because he kind of ends up going out because of this medevac, and they want to give him a good edit in a time. And maybe that's also why I had my instinct that Alex goes out pre-merge, because maybe Jake gets medevaced, they go to another tribal, and Sophie and Jeremiah vote out Alex. I guess blindsiding him because he has an idol, but somehow they do that, and then Sophie and Jeremiah are left. I think Sophie is safe on that tribe. I think if there was a time that she was going to go, it was going to be this time. Otherwise, I don't see her going out. I don't see her going out pre-merge anymore. I don't. I think Sophie's in a good spot on that tribe. And that brings us to Red Tribe Uli, who I do think will be losing next episode. We've got two big setups. Jawan's got to go. He's got to go. And Sage has got to go based on the next time on Survivor. So I think that both those people probably go in pre-merge. Which one? I mean, really, those are probably my two predictions on who I think is going out next episode. It's really a toss-up between them. Jawan's got much more content, but there's so much more story about wanting to take out Jawan. I think I have to go with Jawan as my prediction for the next boot of this season, because I think Shannon will want to defend Sage. The next time on Survivor made us try to think that Sage is going out next episode, which I think is a fake out, and it's actually going to be Jawan, if I had to predict. So, yeah, I think that's probably where I'm at on that. So, yeah, I think that's where the story's going. And, yeah, otherwise, I mean, I think Savannah's pretty safe. I think Nate's pretty safe. I think Rizo is probably safe. It could be a crazy upset. I do feel like there could be a crazy upset on Shannon, but there's so much story about why Jawan and Sage are going out that it makes me think there's no way there's a big upset on Shannon. I feel like that's got to come further down the line. As for going to the end, I do see like maybe Savannah wins the season, Shannon gets second place or third place, or, you know, goes to the end with her. Like, I feel like that could be setting that up. Either I think Shannon's going to have a big downfall, as like she's kind of a big part of the strategy, but then she gets toppled over, or she could maybe go really deep with Savannah, right? Those are kind of the two scenarios based on her edit so far. But yeah, that's my predictions. That's my edit for this episode. Went through a lot. Make sure, go check out Survivor Northwestern. New episode just came out, episode 8, Into the Gauntlet. I'm on there. It's a good show, so make sure to go watch that this week or sometime in the near future. I would really appreciate it. It's a really good show. We put a lot of work into this show and still are. And yeah, if you've enjoyed, press the subscribe button so you can see more of these videos for every week and every episode coming in the future of Survivor 49. I have been North, and I will see you all next time. Stay frosty, y'all.